Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Ali Moreno and Steve Nicol. It seems official, doesn't it? Everybody hates Frank. People want out of Paris and they don't care how they leave. Obviously, Messi gone, Mbappe wants out. And Neymar, the latest one to try and get away from LeBouf. He's reportedly told the PSG that he wants out of the club. The bookies, though, still believe he will be a PSG player this season. Chelsea are the second favourites. Barcelona, apparently, his preferred destination. Any MLS club then comes in at 5-1. Any Saudi Arabian club comes at 8-1. Let's welcome in Alex Kirkland, shall we? Now, Alex, you can't just start the show by saying, look, Barca can't register any players. Don't ask me about Neymar, because I'm going to ask you about Neymar. But I'm going to ask you in the context of, if they couldn't get Messi, how on earth are they going to get Neymar?
Yeah, well, let's just break down the positions of the different parties on this one, shall we, to start with. Neymar wants to leave PSG this summer. PSG are also quite keen for Neymar to leave PSG this summer. They'd prefer it to be permanent, I think, but they might be willing to accept some sort of loan deal with an option to buy further down the road. Neymar, as you say, would like to rejoin Barcelona, although, to be honest, it kind of feels like Neymar's been angling for a return to Barcelona pretty much ever since the day that he left Barcelona back in 2017. And the issue comes when it comes to what Barca's position is on this. Do Barca want to bring him back? And it depends who we're talking about at Barcelona, really, because opinions are divided on this one. Some people at the club, and one of them is the president, Joan Laporta, which is obviously significant, are quite keen on this. I think Laporta likes this kind of glitzy, showbiz kind of signing appeals to him. But other people, and notably the coach, Xavi Hernandez, is one of them, and that is also important, of course, aren't so keen. The feeling is that Xavi is not convinced that Neymar fits into this team. I think part of that is about personality. Part of that is about the player that he is as well. So there's this split opinion within the club. And that's before we even get to the issue that I'm not going to bore you with about Barca's finances and how they might not be able to register him anyway. So before we even get to that stage, there's this division of opinion within the club. And I think that's why, although people at Barca aren't ruling this out categorically, because people like Laporta are quite keen, they're also sounding kind of a note of caution and saying this really might be quite difficult for this one to happen.
Do you understand Xavi's reservations, Stevie?
100%. I have no idea why. Quite honestly, any top team in Europe, I don't understand why they would want this guy.
On his day, he's still a great player, isn't he?
Do you hear what you just said? Well, on his day.
Yeah.
We normally say that about guys who are average, but on the day can compete. Or we're talking about a guy who was once arguably one of the best players on the planet, who was miles away from that. He's also will be asking for an arm and a leg in wages, and you've just nailed it right on the head. On his day. On his day. No thanks. Absolutely not. There's no top club in Europe should go near this guy.
But back to Barcelona, where he was so successful, feeling the love of the club.
The best version of Neymar, one would argue.
On his day.
On his day.
Look, when we were having this conversation about Lionel Messi and his potential return to Barcelona, I said then that Xavi publicly would say, yes, we welcome this. But privately would be like, no, please, no. And that's Lionel Messi, who gives you no headaches, who gives you no issues whatsoever, who brings no circus with him. Neymar himself is a circus, and so therefore, logically speaking, if I said no to Messi, I am saying categorically 100% no to Neymar.
Isn't he better than Rafinha? Better than Ansu Fati? Gives you something more?
Yes, but I'm making a decision based upon what I think the present and the future of this club is going to be. I am building around the young core group of players. I am building around the future of Barcelona and what these young players are going to be. I'm not building around Neymar. My team won't be dependent upon what Neymar does. And I cannot, by putting Neymar on the field, I cannot then force everybody to play to the liking of Neymar and what he wants to do. If you put Neymar on the field, the truth of the matter is, at this point in his career, everything is sort of angled and catered towards him. That's not the case with Barcelona, and that's not what Xavi is building, and so therefore it doesn't make any sense on the field to bring a player like Neymar.
Alex, how do the fans feel about the possible return of Neymar?
I think there'd be some excitement. I think there's also a little bit of bitterness about the way that he left the first time. The fact that he left for PSG, with PSG coming in and paying that huge buyout clause. It was a world record at the time. But fans, I think, felt a little bit kind of abandoned by Neymar. And there was also a feeling, I think, that when Neymar left Barca for PSG, that was a bit of a turning point in kind of the recent history of Barcelona. It was a bit of a signal that maybe Barca weren't quite the top dogs in Europe anymore. And it was the start of a little bit of a decline, also because of some of the decisions that we saw from Barca after they lost Neymar, how they tried to go about spending that money to try and replace him, and made some pretty poor decisions, the likes of Coutinho, the likes of Dembele. So you've got all of that baggage that comes along with it. But there would also be, I think, as I say, some excitement, because people do remember this is a fantastically talented player when he's fit, when he's got the right mindset, and when he's in the team. And I think there's no doubt that if with those conditions met, he'd be one of Barca's best players and one of the best players in the league. But there's so much else that goes along with it. So I think there'd be a lot of kind of maybe intrigue, excitement, uncertainty, but also there is that bitterness there, like I say, as well, because of the way that he left last time.
Steve, you mentioned there's only a handful of clubs that could afford his wages. One of them we saw in the odds, second favourites, Chelsea. And Nkunku's out obviously for a couple of months. They need an attacker to come in.
Again, where does Neymar fit in this? I mean, we're talking about Neymar as if all of a sudden, because he leaves PSG, he's going to become the player that he used to be.
Well, look at Messi. Messi leaves PSG. He's tearing up.
What's this? When was the last time this guy did anything?
He was good before the World Cup.
Oh, he was good before the World Cup. I'm sorry. When I think of Neymar, I'm trying to think of the last time I watched PSG and thought, I'll tell you what, Neymar was good today. I cannot remember the last time I thought that. I mean, the guy has gone from being a superstar to an also-ran. He really is. He is nowhere close to the player he used to be. And why any proper team or any club who's interested in doing well in the Champions League or winning the Premier League or anything like that would entertain this guy is beyond me. And every single person that sat here, Alec, yourself and Ali and me, every single one of us, all we've really mentioned is about if, could he, what about maybe, if it's the guy. I mean, why are you going to spend any money on a guy when every single person is talking about if and maybe and what if and he could and then he starts talking about the baggage. So I'm sorry, I don't get this at all. No proper team should go anywhere close to this guy. None.
I think Stevie's against.
Yes, you think so?
He's gone. Honestly, he's gone. He is not a superstar.
The issue with Neymar is that he has become untouchable. He has become radioactive. All of what Neymar is. And before, while he may have been radioactive, because he was productive, because he was an impactful player, you were willing to play with that, with danger. You were willing to flirt with the possibility of him being part of your club. But now that impact is gone. Now those goals and that productivity is also gone. And you then say, well, it's not worth it. It's not worth the headache. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth the time. And so as a club, you then look beyond the skill set and you have to evaluate, I think, on cold hard facts. And cold hard facts is that Neymar right now is far away from the player he used to be.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.